Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday, October the 6th, 2024. And as you can see behind me, it's a little bit overcast today. A little bit cool, but not too bad. It's tolerable. Still in the hoodie. I don't need the jacket this time of year, but I'm looking forward to maybe having t-shirt weather as the month goes on. So big day here in Victoria. We have the mighty Melbourne Storm in the NRL Grand Final. This is the one time a year that I've become onto the NRL bandwagon. It's probably the only game of NRL rugby league I watch during the year. But when the Storm are involved, we get behind the Storm. So all the best to all the boys today, and I'm sure everyone watching around the country this evening, I think it is. So yeah, again, all the best to the Storm. So we've got a few things to talk about with the boxing today. We'll cover the super middleweight, and super welterweights divisions today, as far as how the Aussie boxers are tracking and where I think they're at in the scheme of things. But before that, I want to just talk about a non-boxing topic just for a little bit. I've just finished watching the Netflix series on Vince McMahon. Now, of course, I'm sure you know he is the CEO or the big boss man of the WWE/WWF is what it started at. Now you've probably seen he's been in the news lately as well for some not very nice things, sex trafficking, sexual harassment, all these sorts of things. I'm not talking about his personal stuff. I'm putting that aside, and it is sort of included in the series because it's sort of happened. They've done all the interviews with all concerned just before all this came out, so they still aired it, but they did make note of that. So as I said, I'm not condoning anything that's gone on or relating to anything that's gone on outside the series. That'll take care of itself. But the story itself about Vince McMahon, who his dad was the founder of the WWF, and it was okay. It was managing. It was obviously turning a profit. But Vince McMahon took that company from his dad, or bought it from his dad, bought him out, and made it into an absolute Goliath of a company's entertainment company, not a sporting company, an entertainment company. And if you're into stories about self-made people, then look at this. This is a guy that's faced so many challenges in the industry, so many scandals over the years as well, and he's come out, well, at this stage, come out of all of them. But yeah, just the way he started WWF, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, by the way. I know you're here for the boxing, but he started with the WWF, broke all the rules as far as the territories went in America, ignored all the unwritten rules of what we're supposed to do and get on with all the other promoters. He went out there and got the absolute best talent from all over the country and just built that company to what it is today. And I just remember, look, I haven't really taken much notice of the wrestling for a long time, I will say, since I've been about 12 or 13 years old of age. But the mid 80s, if you can remember that, that's when it was at its peak. The Hulkster, Randy, Macho Man, Savage, all the crew. But he got all the best talent, created it. He faced all the challenges. This is probably after my time following it, when the WCW came in. They had all the money and behind them, and they really tried to put the WWF out of business. They almost succeeded, but he dug in, he reinvented his organisation, got through it. I mean, they took Hulk Hogan, they took Randy, Macho Man, Savage, they took everyone, Mean Gene, the announcer, everyone. But he hung in there and got it to the point a few years later where not only did he hang in there, but he bought the WCW for next to nothing and pretty much put them out of business. So yeah, so if you're after, again, a story about a self-made man and really inspirational, all the other bad stuff aside, business-wise, this guy is an absolute genius, marketing and promotional genius. I'm just watching out for these maggies here, by the way, because they're out and about this time of year, so I might actually get myself getting swooped on camera. We'll see. All right, so on to the boxing stuff, and saw a little bit of fallout on the show from Friday night. Now, if you didn't know, I'm sure you do, but there was some shenanigans going on in the Shannon O'Connell and Motu fight. Now, I didn't realise this at the time, and I'll get to that in a sec why I didn't sort of realise, but what's happened is that I think there was at least one, if not two rounds were 3-minute rounds instead of the normal 2-minute rounds. Now, the reason I didn't pick this up at the start is because on the night, it got to about 1:50 into round one and my stream froze. And so while I'm fiddling around with it, I thought, well, no drama here. It's 1:50. I'm going to miss a little bit of the rest break, and then we'll be right to go. But when I got it back about 30 seconds later, the girls were fighting, and I thought, well, okay, well, maybe they're into round two, or it's taken a little bit longer than I thought, and they're into round two. But it wasn't the case. It was actually still round number one, and that is where the accidental headbutt happened and Shannon was cut. So this is the argument coming from Shannon's team. They're apparently going to lodge a protest or an investigation, whatever it might be. The fact that the damage occurred in that that extra 1 minute of round number one. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't think much comes of it. I think all they can really do, maybe they could call it a no contest. I'm not sure. That's probably the best outcome for Shannon and her team. I would think that if anything, they would probably give the timekeeper talking to. He obviously thought it was 3 minutes, although if he's an experienced timekeeper, you would think he would know, but maybe it was just a brain fart on his end where he's just forgotten that the girls are 2-minute rounds. I don't know, but in these types of situations, they usually find a way just to make it go away. So I'm not expecting anything to come out of it. I think what will happen is they will do the investigation, and it will be, yes, he was in the wrong, he's been spoken to. Look, there might be maybe a small suspension, or I don't know, some more education, who knows. But either way, I wouldn't expect too much to come out of it, except for maybe they get it turned to a no contest. But either way, look, it doesn't probably change my views that I think Shannon might be best to hang up the gloves. I mean, look, again, I'm going to probably give her a call at some stage. Her view might be, well, when she actually got the headbutt, she couldn't probably see. I don't know. If she was rattled, she might have been concussed. I'll be interested to hear her take. So if that is the case, all right, maybe you could make the case of maybe going again. But I think, again, I'll stand by what I said yesterday, in that I think, based on what I saw, that it might be time for the shotgun to hang up the gloves. But it's her call, and I'm sure she'll make the decision in her own in her own time and in due course with her team. All right, so on to the fighters at the moment in the super middleweight, and 154 pound divisions. Not so much happening at super middleweight, and this probably goes against what's probably been the case in the last few years, where we had Jade Mitchell, we had Zach Dunn, we had Rowan Murdoch, we had Bilal Akaway, all around the mark at the same time. I think that's probably about it. I can't think of anyone else at the moment, though. It's probably only Rowan Murdoch that's still part of the scene at the moment, but it's not a flush scene at the moment. Now, Rowan, of course, had his big shot against Christian and Billy. Didn't really he didn't really compete on the night as maybe as best as he could. I thought he was game. I thought he put in a hell of a fight, but just probably showed that he's probably just outside that world level. You've got to be in it to win it, I know that, and he's putting himself in there with the chance. But if we're being realistic, I think he's always going to be tough. He's always going to give those guys hard fights, but not as far as can he actually take the step to maybe fighting and maybe even winning a world title. If I'm being honest, I'll probably say no. But he's been great for Australian boxing, and again, really admire his toughness and his hardness that he showed in that Billy fight. So to the middleweight divisions and the super welterweight division, this is probably where probably the main action is at the moment in Australian boxing. And we've probably got a few. We've got a couple at sort of the elite level, and we've got probably a few that are on the peripheral but would still provide good fights. Now, the top of the table you'll probably think would be, I'm going to say Matteo Tapia. I think he's the number one middleweight in the country. Of course, the argument can be made for Michael Zarafa. He's probably the most well-known middleweight in Australia. But look, if I'm being honest, if I put them against each other, I think Motu Tapia wins that fight, and I think wins it quite comfortably. But they're probably the two that could, well, Michael Zarafa's already challenged for a world title, hasn't he? But I think Motu Tapia could be well on the way as well. Underneath that, I did see that Joel Camilleri called out Andre Mikhailovich. I really liked that fight. I'm a big fan of Joel as far as being a personality in the sport, and he's a great guy as well. Is he going to win or fight for and win a world title? I would say no, but I love the passion of this guy who says, you know what, people like me are saying that, but I'm going to prove he's wrong and I'm going to get a crack. Now, again, I don't think that happens, but I really admire the fact that he's going to give it everything he's got. Then, of course, you've got Andre Mikhailovich, who's had his shot on Friday night. I think it was pretty obvious that maybe Andre is more, well, domestic, maybe sort of international, on the fringes of international scene. I don't think he's really anywhere sort of, you know, I think he showed that he's not really anywhere near the level of someone like a Janabek, of course. But yeah, but he has got fights against someone like a Kamikayo. I would love to see Isaac Hardman come back and fight Andre Mikhailovich. I'd love to see Hardman maybe fight Tapia. I think both, well, Zarafa's already shown that he's probably got Isaac's measure, but I think Motu would do the same. But I think Mikhailovich, Hardman, Kamikayo could have a nice little rivalry going between them. I really do. And then you've got the super welterweights, which is, of course, headlined by Nikita Tszyu. He's probably the main man. And then underneath him, we've already shown him against Colin Mazudia. Benjamin Hussein. Ben Mahoney's probably another one. So they're all the guys who could maybe still fight Nikita Tszyu. I'd probably like him to stick to the domestic scene for probably another 12 months, I think, before they throw him in internationally. I think he's still got a long way to go as far as just having that poise and composure and being able to stick to the game plan during fights. We've sort of seen in previous fights he's been hurt and rocked and hasn't really had the ability to get himself out of it. If anything, he's got himself more and more into it when he slugs with these guys. So, but I think they'll work on that, and I think if he can get that right, he could be anything. I mean, ability-wise, he's got everything, hasn't he? He is just as talented, you would think, as his brother Tim. But at the moment, Tim has got that composure that Nikita just doesn't seem to have, but I'm sure they'll work on it. He's only 26. He's got plenty of time. He's only had, what, 10 fights, whatever it is, so I'm sure that they'll take the time with him. I still don't like the Zarafa fight at this stage, if I'm being honest. I would like him to maybe have another 3 or 4 fights against domestic level fighters before they put him in with someone like Michael Zarafa. However, I get it as far as the dollars goes and the money. You've got to take advantage of these situations when they appear. And at the moment, the fans are appealing for that fight. And what do they say? If it makes dollars, it makes sense. And that's probably why we're going to get that fight. Although he's out until probably the first quarter of next year. So really good times in those divisions. As far as those world class, maybe, or the chances of those guys at world level, I would probably only say, in my opinion, Nikita eventually, and probably Motu Tapia. But again, doesn't change the fact that we've got some really good fights underneath those guys, and plenty of talent coming through. And if they all maybe sign with no limit, then we're going to have some really good pay-per-view cards going forward. So plenty to look forward to there. So guys, that is probably going to do it for Sunday. It's starting to rain as I'm standing out here, so that'll probably be it for me. It just doesn't know what it wants to do down this way, but it'll probably be sunny and beautiful tomorrow. But anyway, guys, that is it for Sunday, October the 6th. Hope you have a great day. Go to the Mighty Melbourne Storm, and we'll catch you tomorrow.